Apparently, Amazon are planning to do a Stargate straight to cinema movie, and they're giving it a budget of 70 to 80 million dollars. Is that enough? Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV movie channel. Now, I've been told now for quite a long time that Amazon were actually planning a Stargate movie. This has been then confirmed by industry insider Jenny Stiven and actually by Deadline, who actually spoke to Amazon representatives and got this story about how they were doing RoboCop, they were doing Legally Blonde 3. Oh, can't wait for that. And that they were going to be doing a Stargate movie, probably. Now, that's slightly non-committal, but at the time, there were still a lot of voices inside MGM and Amazon arguing over what is the best way to handle the franchise. And apparently, those arguments are still going on. There's quite a lot of infighting, and nobody can quite decide what they want to do. But Jennifer Salke, the person in charge, is very keen to do a Stargate movie, and it tends to be what the boss wants, the boss gets. So we'll see what happens. But while the strikes are going on and everything, we're not expecting any announcements. But the development work is still going on. But one of the things the development team needs to know when they're trying to figure out what to do with the Stargate franchise and what sort of movie they can produce is they need to know what sort of budget they can expect. Now, this work has been done repeatedly. MGM did a lot of this work before and while they were waiting for Amazon sale to go through, and they were looking at something like $8 or $9 million an episode. When Mark Ferguson and Hawk Ostby first came in and first started negotiating with Amazon, they were asking for $10 million an episode to produce the TV series. Amazon came back with a figure of, maybe we'll pay 5, and they were in the process of negotiating. I actually think that any TV production now would probably have a budget of around $7 million an episode, because a lot of streaming services are shrinking their budgets. You look at Star Trek, is cost between $9 and $11 million an episode. Those sort of budgets are not going to happen in future, the chances are, unless a show is massively popular, it's not going to get that sort of money. So a Stargate franchise with about $7 million an episode, I think that would be a budget we would get something really, really good out of. The Expanse used to have a budget of $3 to $5 million an episode all those years ago, and that's finished now. So I think about $7 million would be good. But a movie is what we're going to be getting first. Now, my sources are telling me that a working budget of $70 to $80 million has been agreed. But I was also told with a caveat that I shouldn't be too worried about that. My first thinking was the Batgirl movie that they just scrapped last year, they'd already spent $80 million. The He-Man movie that Netflix just scrapped had already spent $30 million and they hadn't even started filming. So a budget of $70 to $80 million doesn't sound like a lot of money if we really want a big budget sci-fi movie. Now, if you haven't got a lot of special effects, if you haven't got big sound stages and big sets, $70 to $80 million is a lot of money. You can do a lot of movie for that. But if you do want CGI, you do want big special effects, you do want big sets, then $70 to $80 million isn't a lot of money. But I was told not to panic, because basically this is just part of the negotiation process and the filmmaking process. The business people have come up with a rough estimate of what they are willing to spend right now. The development team will then take that and they will use that as a benchmark when they're developing the story ideas, trying to figure out how grand this story can actually be. There is absolutely no point in them developing a story that has massive space battles at the end if they just don't have the budget to pay for it. So this is an initial round of basically negotiations. This is giving the production company an idea of their working budget. Now, don't forget, this is not including them promotion or any of those sort of costs. This is just how much money to actually make the film. I'm told, though, that the budget that is then normally agreed after the development process normally goes up. So I actually think if they're talking about $70 to $80 million now, we're probably looking more at $100 million to actually make the film. And remembering this is a film that hopefully will have a lot of the actors returning from the series. I mention that because none of those are going to demand $20 million, unless, of course, we get Ronan back. So yeah, unless Jason Momoa is going to be in this movie, which he should be, they should at least ask him. I'd love a Ronan movie. That to me would be the way to do it. And that film should get like $200 million. Because to be honest, it would make it. You're going to get like an A-lister at the moment. You want Jason Momoa. But the chances are he won't be returning to the Stargate franchise. We won't be getting a Ronan Dex movie. And instead, we're probably going to maybe get Amanda Tapping, Michael Shanks, people like this back. And they do not command those sorts of fees. So it's all good for the budget. To be honest, because they know they have a working budget of this, I doubt they'll even consider Jason Momoa returning, because this isn't, as I say, a massive budget, considering some movies like the Barbie movie had a combined total budget of something like $300 million. Now, apparently about half of that was just for the advertisement, the media campaign that has gone with the movie, but still the film that didn't have loads of CGI, etc., still cost $150 million to make. Mostly because of the big A-list actors that were in it, but it still cost a crap load of money to make. So this working budget of $70-80 million, I think it's a good start. I think it'll give the development team a really good idea of what they can and can't do. It is enough money to produce something exciting still if they're very clever about how they spend it. But yes, I would like them to spend a little bit more, please. Thank you very much. I'd be like Oliver. Please, give me more. Give us another 20 million. Go on, you know you want to. Guys, get into the comments though and tell me what you think. Is this a budget that you think could work? Is it at least a good starting point for them to then bounce off? Or do we need more money? They keep talking about this. I mean, Jenny Stiven has mentioned this, who is a big industry insider and knows a lot about what's going on in Stargate. She's been talking about how Amazon want this to be a tentpole project. That's what she called it. Something that Amazon are actually really willing to put their money behind. They spent how much on Rings of Power? So how much might they spend on Stargate? What sort of number do you think is necessary for us to get the sort of movie that we think we want? I'd love to know what you think. Get into the comments. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek, where most of our new videos appear first. And for a small fee, you can get to see them without the adverts. You even get a free gift after 3 months. You can't argue with that. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.